A deep dive into why Travis County staffers worked late last night counting ballots nearly 2 weeks after the election, and what it means for the race for Austin mayor.
And the coldest air of the season is about to blow into Central Texas, and really much of the state. We'll show you who's most at risk for frost or a freeze in First Warning Weather.
And just when you thought the Austin mayoral race was settled, a new batch of provisional ballots was added to the Travis County totals last night. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jennifer Sanders.
And I'm Daniel Muddy. Mayor Kirk Watson is still above the runoff threshold by 13 votes, according to our results team. And with the Austin City Council doing their canvass today, those results are now finalized. So he does win re-election. Remember, even though Watson was more than 100,000 votes ahead of the next candidate, Carmen Llanos Pulido, he needed more than 50% of the final official vote in order to avoid that runoff. And it appears that is what exactly has happened. KXAN's Grace Reeder has been following this ballot by ballot for 2 weeks now. So Grace, explain to us what happened last night.
I got several tips last night, even after Travis County posted its final unofficial election results. That election staff was doing more counting last night on some provisional ballots. Those are the ballots that you fill out if your eligibility is in question when you go to cast your vote. This video is of election staff last night. We tuned in because, remember, under Texas law, all counting is legally required to be live streamed. We've been going back and forth with the county trying to figure out exactly what happened here. The Travis County tax assessor just sent me this within the last 10 minutes. They said, quote, on Friday, November 15th, voter registration staff was entering provisional ballot history, which is the final step for our office in the election process. Through this procedure, it was determined 75 provisional ballots had not fully completed that process. They also said the county then immediately contacted the Secretary of State for guidance. They said, quote, as with every election, processes will be reviewed for any necessary modifications to increase efficiency and foster confidence in our open and accurate elections. They also said and continued, the public should feel confident all eligible votes were counted. And they said, we are thankful current systems revealed this issue and that it was able to be rectified.
Okay, so you've been working the past 24 hours to get answers from a lot of different parties. Second place candidate Carmen Llanos Pulido could actually ask for a recount. What has she told you so far?
Well, we don't know if she will do that yet. I've been in regular contact with her this election, and she has declined to say whether or not she'll make that request. According to the Secretary of State, the deadline for Llanos Pulido to request an expedited recount would be 2 p.m. Thursday. Here's a caveat to this, though. Llanos Pulido would have to put down a deposit, basically pay money to make the recount happen. If the outcome doesn't change, she's on the hook for the full cost of that recount. As for what exactly that will cost, the Travis County Clerk's office told me Llanos Pulido's campaign has not requested a recount yet, so they have, quote, no responsive information at this moment on that. But we told you a little more than a month ago that Llanos Pulido's campaign finance report showed she only had roughly $5,000 on hand going into the final month of the election. So whether she has the money to do that is yet to be seen.
All right, Grace Reeder, thank you so much for all of that.
Absolutely.
First Warning Weather with Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon.
All things considered, a beautiful day today. Upper 70s and low 80s for highs, low humidity, full sunshine, as you can see from our Austonian weather camera. Yes, the sun's still up. It sets just after 5:30 this evening. And we're still in the upper 70s in Austin, 84 San Marcos, 80 Dripping Springs, and middle and upper 70s for you in the Hill Country. And these numbers in many spots are way above where they were this time yesterday. In Austin, 4 degrees above 24 hours ago, but in places like Giddings and LaGrange, double digits warmer than this time yesterday. Clouds and radar is clear, and the sky should stay clear all night. We'll still be at 70 at 7 tonight, and then 60s up until about midnight or so. And then a cold front comes through, and it knocks our temperatures down into the upper 40s to start the day tomorrow. But the 40s is where we started here today. We'll be tracking the impacts of this overnight cold front, when we'll feel the coldest highs and lows of fall, and then when we warm back up again.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. President-elect Donald Trump came to the Lone Star State today for the SpaceX Starship launch in Boca Chica. The rocket took off a little less than an hour ago, and Trump was joined by his son, Donald Jr., and Senator Ted Cruz at that launch site near Brownsville. Today's launch is the 6th attempt by the company to test its nearly 400-foot-tall Starship spacecraft. And this visit comes on the heels of Mr. Trump's announcement. He's tapped SpaceX CEO Elon Musk task to oversee improvements to government efficiency. While the launch went off without a hitch, a plan to catch it with giant mechanical arms as it landed was called off for unspecified reasons.
Governor Greg Abbott issued an executive order today, he says, to protect Texas from Chinese espionage. In a statement, the governor said, quote, "The Federal Bureau of Investigation reported that the Chinese government has actively targeted local and state officials as part of their strategy to undermine the national security of the United States." Now, under the executive order, government agencies and public colleges here in Texas must implement stronger background checks. The order also prohibits state employees from accepting gifts from foreign adversaries, and it prohibits public college faculty from participating in recruitment programs by foreign adversaries. Well, making school campuses safer has increasingly become a top priority for districts across the state.
And for KCISD, that looks like getting rid of small, beaten-up fences and wrapping campuses with durable, taller ones. Sam Stark breaks down how this will keep students safe and parents at ease.
Whether they prefer the jungle gym or a pickup game of soccer, KCISD has prioritized fencing to allow kids to play safely. KCISD wants to make sure there's fencing at least 6 feet high, like this fence here, wrapped around all of its campuses.
Our goal with perimeter fencing is to give us as tight of a security perimeter as possible.
Jerry Scrocky, the chief of safety and security for KCISD, said fortifying school fencing has been a priority for about 5 years. The upgrades made possible through the 2023 bond acquisition and grants from the state.
It's a lot of work, right? You know, some of the campuses need a lot more fencing than others.
Scrocky said the district wants to make sure campuses don't look like prisons. But with recent tragedies still top of mind, the district wanted to do anything it could to make Hayes campuses a little safer.
I mean, tragedy brings awareness, and with that, you know, we reprioritize what we feel is important and what we need to manage.
In Hayes County, Sam Stark, KXAN News.
And KCISD tells us it will finish adding and replacing fences at its elementary schools first. Going in depth right now on the new law aimed at overhauling school safety. The measure dedicated some funding to help school districts improve physical barriers and security technology. It also requires every district to place an armed guard on every campus, and it gives the state more oversight responsibility for safety compliance. Many school districts, though, did not have enough funding to pay for those requirements and have requested a waiver for the time being.
Frontier Airlines will launch 4 new nonstop routes from Austin early next year. The airline announced today it will offer nonstop service to Chicago, Orlando, Cincinnati, and Phoenix starting in March. The Chicago and Orlando flights will operate 3 times a week. The Cincinnati and Phoenix routes are going to be twice a week. These routes double the number of Frontier's nonstop destinations from Austin. The airline currently flies to Atlanta, Cleveland, Denver, and Las Vegas. And right now it flies out of the South Terminal at the airport, which is set for closure in early 2026. But the airline operations are going to move to the main Barbara Jordan Terminal before that closure. If you want to learn more, KXAN's Christopher Adams has all of the details over at KXAN.com.
The Bastrop Opera House holds over a century's worth of performances and memories within its walls. And now the historic theater is hoping an upcoming expansion will extend its staying power for another century. The nonprofit-run theater is out of room for rehearsal spaces and youth programs. That's according to its executive director. Now, this all comes as the demand for youth programs grows with Bastrop County's booming population. The Opera House will begin its expansion into a neighboring building early next year, which will create space for more practice rooms, a black box theater, and office space. That first phase is expected to take about 6 months.
The Manhattan District Attorney says the judge in the New York hush money case against President-elect Trump can hold off on sentencing him until the Trump team's efforts to have the case thrown out are resolved.
And as NBC's Alice Barr reports, this comes as details are made public of the allegations of sexual misconduct against Matt Gaetz, the president-elect's choice for Attorney General.
President Faced with the unprecedented entangling of President-elect Trump's legal and political lives, prosecutors today saying his sentencing in the New York hush money trial should be postponed, while the Trump legal team seeks to have the case dismissed based on the Supreme Court's ruling on presidential immunity and his impending return to the White House. Manhattan prosecutors underscoring that a jury already convicted the president-elect of falsifying business records to cover up an alleged sex scandal.
We didn't do a thing wrong.
Signaling they would fight any effort to throw out the conviction. Still, a Trump spokesman calling this a total and definitive victory for President Trump and the American people who elected him in a landslide. It comes amid an intensifying spotlight on the president-elect's pick to lead the Department of Justice, Matt Gaetz, who resigned from the House last week, halting a House Ethics Committee investigation into allegations Gaetz fiercely denies of drug use and sexual misconduct. NBC News spoke with the attorney for a woman who he says testified before the committee that she witnessed Gaetz having sex with a 17-year-old girl at a party in 2017.
She testified that her belief was that Representative Gaetz had no knowledge that she was under 18.
The House Ethics Committee set to meet tomorrow on whether to hand over its report on a now former member to senators tasked with deciding whether Gaetz should be confirmed for Attorney General.
There needs to be legitimate vetting. When I say legitimate, I mean just thorough vetting that the committees do. This is our job. This is the role of advice and consent.
The Justice Department ultimately chose not to charge Gaetz, and his spokesperson calls the allegations baseless and intended to derail the second Trump administration. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
All right, out for a walk this morning. It felt so incredibly good. And someone was practicing soccer for
He was.
a game this Friday.
Yeah, Tom Miller and I are participating in the Austin FC media game on Friday. Very competitive. Yes. So we were doing a little practicing here today to limber up a little bit. Let's take you outside to Fredericksburg, the Barons Creek Vineyards. What a view there. Clear skies all over Central Texas. And after a warm day, things are going to change in a hurry overnight. We've got a cold front north of us. It is not going to bring any clouds or rain. It is going to bring some wind and a big temperature drop. Right now, ahead of the front, temperatures are in the 70s and 80s. Behind the front, 50s and even some 40s in the mix. We're going to see some of us getting into the 30s later this week. Let me show you how these temperatures fall this evening. First, before the front, before midnight, the numbers won't fall all that much. 60s turning into 50s. And then after about 2, 3 in the morning, you'll notice the wind picking up and the temperatures starting to tumble. We'll start tomorrow morning in the 40s and 50s, which is not that unusual. We were in the 40s and 50s this morning. But it will be windy while it is this chilly, so it will feel extra cold tomorrow morning. And then look, our high temperatures just don't warm up all that much from the morning start. 40s turning into 60s. Not seeing much in the way of 70s, maybe a couple. Certainly no 80s here tomorrow. And then the temperatures likely get even colder tomorrow night. Let's talk about the wind really quickly because it is going to get blustery as that cold front comes in a few hours after midnight, gusting in the 20 to 30 mile per hour range at times. And some of that type of wind continues through the day tomorrow. There's noon. And the combination of the wind and the dry air is going to lead to a higher wildfire danger tomorrow. It's a high to very high, 3 to 4 out of 5 for parts of the metro. And you can see some of those level 4 areas. Most of the hill country a little lower, 2 out of 5. But still, it's a day tomorrow to be careful not to start any unintentional fires. So your forecast tonight, we're getting down to 48. A late night cold front is going to turn things windy and chilly as you start off your day tomorrow. And then we only warm up to 69. That would be our coolest high temperature of the season so far. And of course, it is going to be breezy throughout. And then we get to Thursday morning. These will have the coolest low temperatures of the season so far. 40 in Austin, but just about all of the rest of us get down into the 30s. And there could be some parts of the hill country that actually get down to, if not slightly below freezing. So I expect much of the hill country will at least get a frost. And then some of you will have a patchy light freeze here Thursday morning. This is not the type of cold to protect your pipes, but maybe, yes, your plants. Here's a look at our first warning weather 7-day forecast, and you can see the sunshine and the warm up. 70s are back on Thursday, middle 70s Friday into Saturday, and then we're in the low 80s on Sunday. A few more clouds Monday and Tuesday, but still dry over the next week. Hey, we are now just 8 days away from the ending of our Friendsgiving challenge, and we have not even yet reached half of our goal here in the evening team. And what this is all about is raising money for the Central Texas Food Bank. Your evening team trying to raise $75,000. The morning team also trying to raise $75,000. Of course, it's a race to the finish here, but all of the money goes to the Central Texas Food Bank. So you can scan that QR code on your screen or go to KXAN.com/Friendsgiving. And here's the best part. There's a triple match going on right now. If you donate $1, $2 more come in. That dollar becomes $3, which can lead to 9 meals for the Central Texas Food Bank. It's a great time to donate. Thank you to all of you who have.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. Well, the State Board of Education gave preliminary approval today on whether the state's English and language arts textbooks will feature stories from the Bible. Yesterday, the board heard hours of public comment on a controversial set of new instructional materials for elementary school students. The lesson plans include biblical readings and lessons on religion, mostly focusing on Christianity. More than 150 people signed up to give their thoughts at yesterday's board meeting, including passionate supporters and critics.
Not only is learning about common stories and phrases from the Bible important in a student's understanding of history, but it is the First Amendment right to have access to this information.
The state may not turn public schools into Sunday schools and force teachers into the position of preaching rather than teaching. The State Board of Education should reject this curriculum.
Now, the board members haven't made a final decision. That's expected later this week. But if they do approve this new curriculum, districts would have the choice to use it or not, starting in August of next year.
News Nation tonight, exclusive. Representative Nancy Mace joins Leland, why she's introducing a gender bathroom bill on Capitol Hill, and how she's answering critics on the motion. Plus Senator Tommy Tuberville, Leland Vittert on Balance. Only on News Nation tonight, 7/6 Central. To find News Nation, go to joinnn.com.
As always, Thanksgiving weekend is looking to be a big weekend for shopping. According to the National Retail Federation, a record number of people are expected to shop in-store and online over the upcoming holiday weekend. A new survey released today shows a record 183.4 million people are planning to shop between Thanksgiving Day and Cyber Monday. That's up from last year's record of 182 million, and it's also a little over 18 million more people than 5 years ago.
Elgin High School students have cooked up their ticket to the state barbecue competition. According to Elgin ISD, the Wildcat barbecue team won 5th place overall at the National High School Barbecue Association's regional qualifier on Saturday. So they took on 26 teams at the competition. The group also won 2nd place for their chicken lollipops, 5th place for their grilled cheese, and 7th place for their ribs. This is all part of an effort to advance career and technical education programs for middle and high school students, and this was the team's 2nd year competing. The Wildcat barbecue team is hoping to take home the grand prize at the state meet in May.
And good luck to them. All right, well, coming up tonight on KXAN, we have St. Denis Medical at 7 o'clock, followed by Night Court at 7:30. Then it's The Voice at 8 o'clock, and then a special presentation called Defying Gravity, The Curtain Rises on Wicked, a new movie that's coming out. That's going to be at 9 o'clock before we're back with KXAN News at 10.
And of course, you can join us an hour earlier for KXAN News at 9 on CW Austin. Here's where to find us.